So this is the GameSir X2s Type-C mobile gaming controller. I want to be clear, it's a piece of garbage completely. I did have a review before this one, but I wanted to make a video to just highlight what a piece of trash it is, truly. Yeah, mostly because the seller reached out to me, and their response when I said it doesn't work on most games was, well, if you're playing games with controller support, then it should support the controller. And it's like, yeah, okay, thanks, right? Super big brain advice there. It's basically like they just dismiss the fact that their stuff doesn't work because they just like already believe it works or something. I don't know. And like my opinion was invalid at that point. So I just really wanted to highlight what a piece of garbage this is. When you charge using this, it does have pass-through charging to the USB-C port. However, it's going to be at the lowest charging that your phone charges at. So it's going to be probably like 3, maybe even 4 hours before your phone is charged while this is attached to it. Not to mention this has no battery, so you're going to be sharing that battery power with this device because it runs solely off the phone's battery. So for $45.99, you'd think they'd be able to like at least put a battery in it, but no, they just want to use your phone's battery. It has good feeling buttons and stuff like that. That's really all I can say that's good about it. But at the end of the day, it just does not work. Also, something I pointed out was, if you notice, the way that you use this is this moves up like this. So it has some give, right? So if your phone is like a different size, this I guess seems kind of like a good idea in like on paper, or like maybe in your mind, maybe not everyone on paper. Yeah, so you lift this up, you put your device in there, and then you can swing it down. So right now it's attached, and then you pull it apart, and then it's locked in there. However, this is a problem because I don't know if you can see. Let me see if I can turn the light up here. But there is actually this padding, for whatever reason there's padding on this side, but it's essentially non-existent on this side, and you can actually see that it doesn't even touch the phone. So actually the only thing holding this phone in place on this side is this USB-C port. So that little plug is basically holding your phone in completely on this side. Not only that, so I mean, just to kind of clarify, it's like if you have issues, whoa, it started a game on me. It can do that if you press buttons randomly, which is a cool feature, I guess. But to put it into perspective, this is basically holding this from popping up, and then since it's also elevated, it's also holding it from getting pushed down, and then it's also holding it side to side, and that's all from the pressure of this USB-C port just like being like jammed in there ferociously by the pressure of this closing on it. Also it twists in there, so I don't really want to do it, but you can see if you don't put it in straight, then like you're not only sitting on like just this, but you also have it at an angle, which is just, I'm sure, going to cause more damage in the short term. I don't even think it's going to take a long time. Not only that, let's say you push on it, now you're twisting that because this is at this level, right? But if you push it down, your phone jack is straight. Meanwhile, this is going at an angle. right? So that's gonna be an issue. That's probably gonna cause some damage. And then on top of it, see how it's angled in there? So right now, the USB-C plug is straight and my phone is angled down sort of like that. Yeah, so overall it's just like completely gonna be terrible for any phone. Maybe if you have a case on your phone and it makes it sit exactly perfectly where it needs to go in straight with that USB-C plug, but that's literally the only way that would make sense. And it would have to be like perfect, right? Yeah, so it has no Bluetooth, no battery, and then it doesn't work for 90% of games. I guess some people have got it to work with emulators, which is fine because like this does have that cool like NES, SNES kind of factor. And that's great, but it does not work normally. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that because they were like, what do you mean like it doesn't? So what phone model do you have? And then I don't know, just the way that they kind of spoke to me, I just felt was kind of rude. Like they were completely just disregarding everything I had to say. Like it was like not reality. Like they already knew it supported. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I just wanted to give everybody a very clear picture of what a piece of garbage this is. Yeah, for $45.99. This controller right here is $69.99 right now on Amazon. You can also get other controllers like this that do the same thing, have Bluetooth, have a built-in battery, and it'll probably cost you like 40 bucks if you're looking for this small form factor. What I would always recommend is that you can even get the ones that are like 25 bucks that are literally a knockoff of a PlayStation controller, and then they have like a thing on top that holds your phone in there so that you can always charge your phone. It's cheap, and typically those controllers always have controller support when it comes to games with controller support. So like they're all supported because typically they just register as like an Xbox controller or a PlayStation controller. This one, however, does not register as pretty much anything on any game other than 2 that we test. And we'll get into that now. Alright, so the first game I wanted to show you guys was Diablo. This is actually on their product page, in their product title, that this controller supports Diablo. We're gonna take a look at that. So this is just my test phone, so you can see there's a crack or whatever, but it still works just fine. But I'm gonna go ahead and make a new one just so maybe it kind of goes through the tutorial for us. Alright, so it should take us into the tutorial, and mind you, this is mapped like this is built like a Xbox controller. So we have X, A, B, Y, right bumper, left bumper, and then right trigger, left trigger on the back. So just to be clear, it is literally built like an Xbox controller, and this game is in the title of their item as they have it listed on Amazon. Okay, so it says drag joystick to move. This is going to be a little bit hard for me. This guy just got beat up. Alright, so you can see here it's... Oh, it says B to attack, right? So I'm going to go over here, I'm going to hit B, it does not do anything. So if this was mapped like an Xbox controller, that would work. But we hit A, and look at that, it does the basic attack. So I'm not going to go all the way into this just because it's like too much. But and then later on it tells you to use the right bumper and left bumper, and that does not work either. Those aren't mapped correctly at all, so I just want to point that out, and then we'll move on to the next game. So this is another game that is called Grim Valor. This is a hack and slash game. You can see here it says press A to jump. We're going to press A to jump, and it dashes. We're going to press X, and it jumps. So this is natively supporting Xbox controller, and this controller is not mapped to that, even though it's built like that. So yeah, next game. Alright, here's another game. It's a little game called Call of Duty Mobile. Maybe you've heard of it, GameSirs. Yeah, so this has controller support. I don't know if you're aware of that, GameSirs, but let's go ahead and take a look at what happens when we go to do that. So we go down here to controller, settings, and then up here you're supposed to connect a controller. Typically, if you have a controller connected via Bluetooth, this is already going to be connected. You're not actually going to have to go through this connection process. It would just work. That's typically how controllers that have native controller support and work with native controller support, that's typically how they work, right? It would recognize that you have a controller plugged in. But we'll hit the connect button here. Connecting. Please pair your controller with your device via Bluetooth. Okay, so we don't have Bluetooth on this controller. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier. So we can't use this controller for Call of Duty Mobile, one of the biggest mobile games ever. So let's go ahead and take a look what happens if we enter a match. It shouldn't take too long. Just pick a random loadout since it's not gonna work. Alright, and go. Okay. Wait, we're not going? Oh, we can only use the not controller. Okay, that's great. So that's Call of Duty Mobile. Alright, this is Call of Duty Warzone Mobile. I just want to show when you click the X button, you have to hold it. I don't know if that's typical for this game. I don't actually play this. I play on computer. But this actually does have controller support. So they say Call of Duty in their item title, and that is half true. So yeah. But again, I don't know if that X button, if like you're supposed to hold it to interact with doors. I don't know why it would be like that, but maybe it is. Maybe it's just like a default setting. But yeah, so we actually found a game that it does work with. Alright, this one is called Modern Ops. It's another one that supports this controller, the X2s. So you see down here it has gamepad, and that's really the only option. It's really just plug and play with this one. So yeah, pretty straightforward, and it worked just fine. Alright, this one's called Arena Breakout. As you can see, it does support controller. I will say that I'm making very like small movements here, and it's like very, like if I hold it down just to turn around, it's like very sensitive. This is like a sensitivity I would expect when I turn my sensitivity up, which is what I play on normally when I play first person shooters. This one, however, I actually went into the settings and I put it at the lowest default settings, basically, so that these are essentially the lowest sensitivity settings because before, yeah, it was unplayable. This is still like very hard, but this controller does not support this game. So you see, like, there's no aim down sights when I pull the triggers or anything. None of the trigger buttons or the bumper buttons are effective. X does a jump, and that's it. And you could look around. So that's the only support it has for this game. Not supported. Alright, next one is called War Robots. You can see I'm able to move once again, so it does have controller support. However, I can't shoot any of the buttons, and it even says controls change to touchscreen and now controls change to gamepad. So you see it does clearly have controller support, but this controller is not supported. Alright, this one is called Mech Arena. You basically take over control points. As you can see, it has support to move around, and it actually does support the X button, which makes you dash. However, none of the other buttons do anything. So, I can use the D-pad to set like commands for my teammates. So yeah, again, another not supported controller on a game that has controller support. Out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games that we played, 2 of them were supported by this controller. All of them have controller support.
Como vocês podem ver, a luz não liga. Porém, ao dar uma carga, o aparelho liga. É só tirar e ele continua funcionando. A grande questão é o fato de que essa luz simplesmente não estabiliza. Eu já tentei de tudo. Todas as funções necessárias e mesmo assim ele não resolve de jeito nenhum. Já fui